right, Nick, let's talk about one of our favorite teams to talk about, the Pittsburgh Steelers, coming off a huge win over the Bucks. The Steelers are kind of rolling right now. Things are looking good. Rebuilding this team looks like there's a lot of promise on the horizon for them, and it's a team that, quite frankly, this week there's a lot of good news in the injury department as far as players coming back, and we're going to go through all of those and say how those affect this Steelers team. But Nick, you know what else is fast on the horizon? The trade deadline. November 1st, NFL trade deadline is coming up. And Steelers fans, we got to know in the comments below. I'm going to give you one of two things. Let us know either A, who you would like the Steelers to trade for, or B, if there's a player that you think the Steelers should trade. So let us know in the comments below. You play GM for the day. Let us know what you would do if you were the Steelers. But Nick, how are they looking on the injury front? There's a lot of news.
Yeah, it's a lot of good news, a lot of good vibes coming out of Pittsburgh. Look, that win against Tampa, one of the reasons that was so impressive when we talked about it after the fact is they basically beat Tampa with a bunch of like second stringers and third stringers in the secondary. And obviously, Tampa's known with Brady and those offensive weapons. That's a huge task, and they got it done. But obviously, that's not a long-term sustainable way of success. But the good news is for Steelers, it won't have to be. So this is according to Sports Illustrated SI.com. A lot of good injury news. I'm just going to go through a long list of them here, so bear with me. So cornerback Levi Wallace, tight end Pat Freiermuth were also full participants for a second day, and they look to be completely cleared. Cornerbacks Cam Sutton and Akella Witherspoon were full participants after being limited to start the week. Both are dealing with hamstring injuries, so they look to be good. Here's the big one right here. Safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, along with linebacker Miles Jack, defensive tackles Chris Wormley, Larry Ogunjobi, and offensive lineman Jason Daniels and Mason Cole were also all full participants. And of course, Kenny Pickett was the big one, remained a full participant as he passes through the concussion protocol. And to wrap it all off, safety DeMonte Casey returned to practice. He had been on the IR, so his 21-day window for returning from IR is not activated. There's a lot of names on that list. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick is the biggest one, but let's be honest here. This Steelers defense, like the cavalry's coming, the replacements are here. Are we in the middle of a potential Pittsburgh Steelers midseason turnaround right now?
Yeah, Nick. And, you know, one of the bigger ones that we didn't mention quite yet is that TJ Watt is also back at practice.
Getting
He's
close.
not coming back yet, but he's there. He's working his way back. So that's obviously going to be huge as well. But like you said, you just named like 8 solid starters that are coming
Yeah.
back for the Steelers. Uh, there's going to be an absolute game changer on this defense to get all of these guys back, especially in the defensive back department. They've been struggling that with injuries a lot lately. And, you
Yeah.
know, they have found some nice pieces. Like James Pierre had a pretty decent game as well. Young guy out of Florida Atlantic, drafted back in, or undrafted free agent rather, back in 2020. But he had a couple good plays last week. Um, but I just think that getting all of your guys like Cam Sutton, all of your big time DBs, Minka Fitzpatrick, getting all of that back, getting better up front. Eventually, when Watt gets back, getting better on the edge at outside linebacker. This defense is going to help turn around, and you're going to take a little bit of pressure off of a young guy like Kenny Pickett. You know, he feels like he has to do it all right now, and there's a lot going on, and maybe that's why he's scrambling around, running around, and that was why he was able to take a hit like that, get the concussion, have to go into the protocol. I think having a really strong defense, and this Pittsburgh team has a sneaky strong defense. It's just when you have so many injuries, it's really difficult you can't work through that many injuries, you
Yeah,
know?
it's not sustainable, right? And but how about this, Mai? So obviously coming into Sunday Night Football, who are they playing? They're playing the Miami Dolphins. So you look at Coach Flores. This is a revenge game for him. Minka Fitzpatrick obviously started his career as a Dolphin. Revenge game for those guys returning to Miami. The game's in Miami, and the fact that they're getting so many veterans back is huge because once you have a lot of veterans as a defensive coach, you can run more complex schemes, get more aggressive, do things like that, which is what they're going to need to do against Tua making his return in that high flying receiver core that the Dolphins have. So it's not only that they're getting all these guys back and they're getting healthier, which is big enough, they're getting healthier at the right time because they're going to really need against the Miami Dolphins. I'm very interested to see what Flores and that defense throws at Tua because obviously Flores knows all those guys on the Miami side. I think it's going to be one heck of a matchup, and I'm really excited to see what the Steelers defense does.
Yeah, and you look at Flores and what he's been doing exactly. You know, he was rumored to have not liked Tua when he was over in Miami. And I'm thinking maybe it's because Flores' defense was so good against Tua that Tua just didn't look like himself in practice. Obviously, Tua's been pretty decent this season. They got a couple of good weapons over there in Miami. But I think Flores maybe has a couple tricks up his sleeve to throw out to Tua. I see a big game for Minka Fitzpatrick. I see a big game up front. They're going to want to keep Tua extra healthy. So if you can get pressure on him, I think that's the key to winning this game. So, like you said, I think Flores has got some stuff cooking up, and this is a game I really want to keep an eye on.